All right, my friend.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
All right. Well, listen, welcome, man. We are back at another Pastors Roundtable.
Hey man, it's good to see you, brother. We missed you last week, man.
Listen, last week I was enjoying just watching my firstborn. That's right, my firstborn walk across the stage. She graduated last week from Oakwood University. And I was just, I tell you, it was a great experience, So we praise God for her.
And we are so proud of Hannah and grateful to God for what He has done. And we wish her so much the very, very, very best. And you guys have done a great job, man. So congratulations. On behalf of the entire PRT family, we want to wish Miss Hannah a congratulations on her graduation. Man, I was thinking about it last week, and the what happens on Friday night? That's baccalaureate consecration.
One
of those, whichever one it was. It was happening while we were doing Roundtable Live last week. And it dawned on me, we could have split the screen, and we could have taken awesome. A peek in on what was going on there in Oakwood. So, man, next time we'll have to remember that. But listen, we want to say hello to Monique Francois. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, Monique. She says, good evening, PRT pastors and fam. Sabbath blessings to all. Finally, she gets to catch us after several months live. Tuning in from the UK. Man, what time is it over there?
Oh, the UK. Oh, my. Oh, whoa. Wait a minute. This
like must be six hours ahead?
Yeah. Was it 2 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, boy.
Something like that. Wow. Well, listen, Monique, thank you so much for your dedication to the Pastors Roundtable.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
All right. Oh, thank you so much. Yes. We praise God. Oh, what? Listen. Last week, what a powerful message by W. Snell. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
it was powerful, man.
I didn't catch it, man. Yeah.
He went in, man. The brother went in from the book of Judges. Come on, man, somebody.
Some of them Old Testament preachers still around. What?
Yes, sir.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we are missing somebody tonight. We want to make sure we acknowledge our other co-host, Pastor Roger Wade. He is unable to be with us this evening. He has many hats and many responsibilities, and so we wish him the very best. We miss him when he is not here, so we just want to give him a little shout out as well. For those of you that are joining us tonight, we want to know that you're in the chat where you are joining us from. So if you just shout out where you are joining us from tonight. And those of you that watch this on the replay, we're still curious as to when you show up. So we know that you can't join us in the live chat, but if you do in the comment section, you can go ahead, and when you do go ahead and watch this, even if it's not live, we'd like to know that you were here and where you joined us from. So go ahead and pop that in there as well.
All right. What else we got coming in the chat? All right. Well, listen, we need to look. This is the time to share the feed, man. We got to share this feed, Doc. Oh, it's 1:15 a.m. There you go. Okay,
wow.
I was a little off. Listen, and thank you so much again for tuning in with us. We got to share this feed. We got to share it with somebody else, man. Let your family and friends know that something great is happening right here on the Pastors Roundtable. Come on, share. Let them know.
I'm hinting. I'm throwing some hints. These aren't gang signs. These are hints. The twos.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right. We got here. Okay, let's see. Monique. All right. We're looking for somebody else to come on to tell us. Hey, come on. We have some people over here online. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us what city, what state, what country you are watching from.
What village, what hamlet, what... Hey, listen, man, real quick. Last week we missed you, man, but we had Dr. Myron Edmonds with us. And we dealt with the part 2 of I Don't Pastor Anymore. Man, Doc went in, man. It was a matter of fact. When we ended last week, there were people in the chat saying we need to do not just a part 2, we need to do a part 3 on the discussion. So last week, if you missed it, we had the opportunity to talk to Dr. Myron Edmonds. And this was a part 2 of an episode that we did. I think it was in either season 8 or season 7, where we were looking at those pastors who have chosen to leave denominational employment and do something else. And so we had some questions of what led those guys to that. I think the first episode we did on that, who were our guests? Our guests were Dr. Davis, Robert Davis.
Robert Davis was there. Yes.
And Kimon Hines, I believe.
Kimon Hines.
Yeah. Robert David and Kimon Hines were our guest for the initial episode. And they did a fabulous job at answering some of the questions and dealing with some of the issues that arise when a pastor leaves denominational employment to begin something else. Now, those two gentlemen decided they weren't just going to go, that they did not leave. And one of the things that we learned, Dr. Henry, is that sometimes we assume that when a pastor leaves denominational employment that he is leaving the ministry.
Ministry is broader than just the pastoral setting. And these individuals who have done pastoral ministry, they're continuing ministry, but just in another environment, just in another place. And that place where they're ministering at is going to, again, bring people to the knowledge of our Savior, Jesus Christ. So we want to make sure the word is out there. When people leave pastoral ministry, and even when you talk about pastoral ministry, the church pastoral ministry, right?
Right.
Because some people have a parish, but it might not be in the church, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm using the word denominational employment.
Yes.
Or the phrase denominational employment, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, when people leave the denominational employment, they haven't left ministry. I think that's very important. Some of them,
yeah. Some of them do decide, I'm not, come on, the truth is, there are some pastors who leave denominational employment. Sometimes it's because they don't believe the message anymore. They're done with church, done with admin. I've seen some this week as I was just browsing through YouTube. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not interested in doing ministry, period. And so I'm going to go and leave and do something else. And I have to admit, man, that's better. That's probably better than some that have emotionally and spiritually left ministry but have not left denominational employment, because there may be occasionally some of those that there's the security of the check and whatnot, that they may have checked out of the calling. So yeah, there are certainly some of those.
And I'm thinking we ought to do a show on leaving ministry, like when it's not time of pastoral ministry, because people have different forms of ministry. But leaving ministry, what does that mean? Leaving ministry, doesn't everyone have a ministry? And so when you leave ministry, what does that entail? What does that mean? What does that? Just kind of unpacking that, I think, will be good for those who want to do something different, those who want to be creative, but necessarily want to make sure that they're still doing what God has called them to do.
Absolutely. Okay, well, that was last week, Matt. Did you catch any of that last week, by the way? I know you were on the road.
I did not. I got something I was looking on Facebook, and there was a little, they give you a little short there. So I saw a little something there, but I missed it. I'm gonna have to watch that. My friend Dr. Edmonds, man, every time he comes, man, he's coming with something. The man is filled. Yeah. He's filled with the Holy Ghost. So praise God for his ministry. He
was a great guest. I had one of our most faithful supporters text me after the show and say, you know what, Dr. Edmonds is one of the best interviews that we do. And that was just great to hear that. He said this was the first time that, and he is faithful when watching PRT and in supporting us. But he said this was the first time that I actually hit the share button.
I got you.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about that was last week. Let's talk about tonight. Tonight, we are going to bring you, our audience, on a journey with us over the past 8 seasons as we go to our YouTube channel. And we're going to go back and revisit some of the more popular discussions that we have had. And we want you to kind of join in and chime in the chat as we talk. I see Rodney in the chat. He says, "Happy Sabbath, brethren." And this is one of the things he's already in this thing saying, address the issue of monetizing the gospel. Monetizing the gospel. Yeah, that could be an interesting conversation. Rodney saying you threw softballs to Dr. Edmonds. Have to go back and check that and see how soft they were.
I know. Hey, Rodney's going in, man.
Rodney's always one. He's got some hard balls packed up in his ball bag, man.
That's right.
He's ready. He's ready to throw some strikes.
Right.
Well, listen.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So that's what we want to do tonight. We're going to take you into some of the past episodes that we have done over not just this season, but in the past seasons, and then we're going to talk about some stuff as well. But before we do that, Doc Henry, there are some very live discussions that are going on now. I'm curious if you have seen them. We've been inundated over the past 3-4 weeks on this discussion about whether or not the Seventh-day Adventist Church is a cult.
We're going back to that. My.
That's certainly for most of us. We know that is an old discussion within Christianity. Or evangelicalism that look at Seventh-day Adventists and a lot of the larger Christian world, Protestant world, they're kind of we know Adventists, we know there's kind of Christian-ish, but they just got some weird stuff, and so there's a lot of them that don't want to fully embrace us within the brotherhood or of Christianity proper or Protestantism. We are perhaps one of the few groups that most of your mainline denominations kind of want to keep us at least at arm's length. But we saw where this one brother came out and just straight up said, "You are not Protestant and you are not even Christian, you Seventh-day Adventist, you." What do you think about that, man?
Well, we've been hearing this before, right? That we are a cult. And, we went into the archives. People went to the vault and they discover that, wait a minute, we are not a cult. I think that the reason why this is coming up is because we are different, right? And when people are misinformed of the basis of what we teach, then they're going to come with all type of conclusions. So this is not going to go away. I mean, this is coming up now. It came up before. There was a whole book that we kind of dealt with a long time ago in the seminary regarding it. I remember, they were talking about the history and so forth of this. So it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away. I would say this, that those of you who are listening out there, I want you to know that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is a Bible-believing church. We believe in the Bible. That's it. We're in the Word. And there may be people, there are people who misrepresent the church. And because of their misrepresentation, misrepresenting the church, that's where I think some of the people come with this conclusion. In fact, I was watching something, might have been a couple of months ago, on YouTube, where people were talking about why the Seventh-day Adventist Church is a cult. And the stuff that they were bringing out, the information they were bringing out was all false. It was false. Yeah. And I'm saying the only way to correct this misunderstanding is to give proper understanding.
Yeah, and listen, man, I've listened to some of this stuff, and I've looked at, there was the one that was by Dr. Eric Mason, the one that I'm referencing now, but I've gone back and looked at several others, and sure, every now you find some people that are putting out some really messed up information, like they're incorrect in what they're saying, but. And those are easy for me to dismiss. And, that's not really that, they just need to read a little bit more, study a little bit more, talk to some different people. I heard one group that were out there, they were saying, look, the guy went and got his stuff from an ex-Adventist. They said, what did they say? They said, that's like going and talking to my ex-girlfriend and asking them to give them an assessment of what they think about me. Well, of course, everything is going to be,
of course, tainted.
Yeah, skewed, biased, all of that. But here's the reality, is that most of the people who are well studied, they will bring out stuff that we actually do believe and say, because of these things, these are the things that we say make you a cult. And so I get to the point when I read some of these definitions, I'm like, okay, I'll be a cult if that's how you're going to define that. One of the big things that in some of the dictionary definitions you will see is a group that has a charismatic leader, and that is a little off from mainstream orthodoxy or mainstream Christianity or whatever. And I'm like, okay. I'm pretty sure that's the same thing they said about the Christians in the early church. They called them, they didn't use the term cult, they used the term sect. At least in the King James Version, they used that term sect. Here's this strange sect. Why? Because they had this charismatic leader whose name happened to be Jesus, and their beliefs were not part of the mainstream Jewish culture. They had some things that were similar and some things that diverged. And so I would love for us to take some time at some point to dig into that here on our platform. A lot of others have done it, and they've done a good job at it. So those of you that have been following that discussion, there's a number of individuals. I know Ivor Myers did some stuff on that. Ty Gibson has put out several posts on his Facebook page that have addressed some of those things. Adventist Defense League, I've seen some of their videos. So you guys there's great stuff out there. In my own churches, I've been preaching both in prayer meeting and on my Sabbath sermons. I've dealt with a number of those issues. But one of the things that dawned on us too as we listen to this is that while there are a lot of people out there who look at us from a distance and don't really fully comprehend and understand in full what the Seventh-day Adventist Church teaches, there's a lot of Seventh-day Adventists close up who do not fully understand or can articulate what the Seventh-day Adventist Church teaches. And it's messy, it's sloppy, because we hear from our pulpit sometimes our own pastors saying, it doesn't matter. The doctrine and the theology, those things aren't important. And so don't worry about that. Just, and then when we get challenged on it, we wonder why our folk can't give an answer or don't understand it. Well, sometimes it's because we have belittled some of, our own teaching and what the Bible actually teaches, and said, you don't need to know all that stuff. So somewhere we've got to reconcile and balance, what I think we are trying to say. What we are trying to say is that Jesus matters more, and our relationship with Jesus matters more than knowing stuff, but knowing stuff is also important.
Right. But then not only are you dealing with people feeling and thinking that the Seventh-day Adventist is a cultish group, you also have, and I guess it's recently, I would say the last year or so, there are new messages that are emerging within the Adventist Church. So we need to deal with that. There are some things that are going on now where conferences are addressing. They're saying, wait a minute, what's happening here? What's this new theology? And some people say, well, it's not new theology. It's been here for a while. But some people say it's a new theology, like this love reality thing that is taking place within our church, and people are supporting it and so forth. So having a program to kind of pull back the curtains and just expose some of these things to our wider audience. And I say wider audience, but to our audience, right? Because these things are already pervasive all the way around us. Having that discussion, and what does the church think about it? Getting some people in here that can talk towards it, and just kind of seeing where we are. So I guess what I'm saying, Pastor Paul, is that we just need to be students of the word, because people, what people will do, first of all, they'll say what you're in is not right, it's false, it's a cult. Secondly, what you're in, there'll be new messages that will emerge, and it's up to us to study to see if these things are true. So get in the word, get in the word, get in the word. That's it, the word of God. And the word of God will definitely direct us so that we might know what God is saying to his people at this time.
Yeah, good. All right, so that's certainly something we'd love to get into at some point. Let's start off as we move into our twos tonight. I'm going to switch screens here in just a second and bring up our YouTube channel page, and we'll look at some of these conversations. But before we do that, we have been planning to address a particular topic tonight. Let's talk about that real quick before we move. One of our twos this evening that we're wanting to bring to you tonight.
Okay, so explain twos. Explain twos.
Twos. So not last season, over the past 8 seasons, we have had some tremendous guests, some tremendous conversations. And even though this is long form content, we're doing an hour and a half every episode. We get to the end of an episode, and many times, not only we as hosts, but you as our audience, you have said, no, we need more. We need a part 2. And we've often said, man, we need to do a part 2. Yeah. And so many times we only said we need to do a part 2, and we haven't done a part 2. So this season, we've said we're going to inundate this season as much as we can with some part 2. Some of those discussions that you told us that we need to hear more. We need to follow up more on that. We need to dig a little deeper on those things. If you're like Rodney, you might have said, you guys only threw some softballs. We need to do a part 2 where you throw some hard balls, some sliders and some whatever. So as we're talking tonight, if you think of an episode that you know of that you wanted us to go a little bit further on, go ahead and drop that in the chat. Again, if you're watching on the replay, drop that in the comments. So tonight, Elder, we were going to be looking at what? Talk to me. What was this second part 2 going to be about?
Yes, I think we're going to be dealing with the structure within the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And we're going to talk about how we are often structured along racial lines in some places within our denomination. So we're going to bring that discussion on. I think we had that. I know that we had that on before, and it was a very vivid conversation. We talked about, and I think that conversation we talked about the advantages and disadvantages of our divide, in a way, if we could use that word, because some people say, well, it's not a divide because we are united. And so we talked about that. And so we were going to bring that on again to kind of go deeper in that, maybe talk about the reason for why we are where we are, but then to follow up on the conversation, the collaboration that we had before. And so that was going to be the discussion tonight.
So I'm going to be honest with you as I think about that discussion. I think I'm going to agree a little bit with Rodney here as I think back on that discussion. I felt like I remember leaving that discussion feeling like we did a whole lot of softballs on that one, that there was some stuff that we either just kind of glossed over, skimmed by, didn't really sink our teeth into. And it was interesting that was one of the more watched episodes. And in addition to that, going into that conversation, I was a little fearful that, man, we have hit this and beat this horse so much that is this really going to be interesting to anybody again? Talking about why do we have black conferences? Why do we have, white kind of, separate racial conferences? Well, if we're going to have white and black conferences, then why can't we have Hispanic conferences? And why don't we have, all the different language groups, ethnic groups, Asian conferences? Why aren't there any of those? And so I was a little surprised that there was still so much interest in having those conversations yet again. So you guys tell us what you think on that one in particular. Is that something that you feel needs to be or can be revisited? Do you feel like you've heard enough? Are you dug in on one side or another? If you were like, okay, fine, I know that we have these ethnic structures, that we have black conferences and white conferences, and I'm just fine with it. Let's just roll. Let's just keep it moving. Or are there still some folk that say, I don't like, we need to come together. We need to, this looks bad, because that used to be the thing. So Carlene says, not interested. Not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
all right.
Okay.
And then that's what I was thinking. We would have much more of those than what there appeared to be first go around. All right. Okay. You ready, man? Let's go and check out.
Let's go in, Doc. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Here we go.
What do we got going on? Yes, sir.
This, as you see to our whatever side this is, that's my left-hand side. It probably looks like the right-hand side. That is our YouTube channel. For those of you that are watching on Facebook and you've never been to the YouTube channel, Marilyn Gerald says she's dug in. On which side, Marilyn? On what side of that issue are you dug in on? We'd be curious to know. But this is what the YouTube channel looks like. And you'll see here, can you see my cursor? No, the cursor does not work here. All right. Anyhow, you'll see that the page is organized with these little tabs. You see home, you see videos, you see shorts, live, podcast, playlist, community. I'm going to click on the live tab. Oh, you can see my cursor. All right.
Now I can see it. Yep.
Shows that we're live.
And we're on. I see it live.
Okay, so Dr. Henry, this is what I'm getting ready to do. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to sort the list by popular. So what this, I think it's supposed to do, is it's supposed to give us the most popular one. Right, most popular episodes that Pastors Roundtable has done.
Hit it. Let's do it.
There we go. All right, hold on. Let me get these comments right quick. Rodney says, our church is full of all nations. The work of the gospel is to bring various people groups together. Okay. All right. I respect that. Carlene says, I actually know the history, and this is not a platform that can solve this issue. So I find it an exercise in frustration. So just having the conversation in a platform like this, I can get it. She's saying it won't change anything. Now, I'm gonna push back a little bit on that, but I do get it. A lot of times we have all these conversations and nothing happens. But sometimes people's minds and positions are shifting because they are exposed to different ideas. People say money is a powerful thing, but I think even more powerful than money is ideas. The exchange of ideas, the conversations. Nobody ever won a battle or fixed a problem or whatever without first starting with an idea and exchanging those ideas. Great things in history rarely ever happened outside of the exchange of some ideas. And so sometimes it is in platforms as simple as this that progress can be made or regression is made. But it happens with the exchange of ideas. All right, let's hit this thing. Marilyn says, I'm not trying to change it. She's good with the structures as they are. All right, here we go, Doc. Number one.
Let's do it. Hit it.
Black History with Dr. Calvin B. Rock. That was the number one episode that we did in terms of views, anyway.
Now, can we play a little bit of it too?
Can we play a little bit of it?
Can that work on this system? That would be awesome.
I think we can, but did we want to do that? Let's see.
I would love to just hear a little bit.
I don't think that I have the audio set up where we might see the picture.
Okay, we don't want. Okay,
I'm going to try it. See, so I think we were hearing that, but I don't think our audience was hearing the audio from it.
I don't hear it either.
I just muted it so I could hear you, but
okay.
But so you should hear it now.
Nope, I don't.
Oh, you don't hear it now?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, then that's a problem. All right, so
that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
If we can't hear it, but let me tell you, CB Rock. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
He came on. What year was that episode? Season? What season was that?
All right, let's get back to it. That was 3 years ago, man.
Okay, 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yes, and so he touched on his book, Protest and Progress.
Yeah.
He touched on it, giving us just a hint of some of the struggles that we faced. And he also challenged us, I think, in that episode, especially as Black people, to get that degree and to so that we could sit in some of those circles when they talk about some of these things. So I remember he said that. He said, "You young whippersnappers," or some type of terminology he used. I remember that. So, he really challenged us to do that as well. So I think that program was really, really informative. In fact, Pastor Paul, I believe he had a PowerPoint on that show. Didn't he have a PowerPoint where we were able to get him to show his slides? I believe that was a show where he showed his slides and everything regarding the movement. Oh, you got it there?
Yep, there it is.
Okay, yeah. So let's see what you got here. Okay. Yep. Doctor of the church background. Can we pull that up a little bit? Yep, we said the early pioneers, right? Church leader. There you go. Church leaders. And it was kind of like we were in the classroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember what he was trying to get at in this particular slide, but I do remember feeling like I'm in the classroom again.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at it though, I mean, he's comparing the what was going on in society to the Advent movement, right?
Yeah.
And then there was this push, and so he actually talked about the reasons why, or some of the factors behind the regional conference, and he even went further than that and talked about the push for colored conferences, but he also talked about the push for the Black Union. And so it was a very informative show. In fact, we need to bring him back on again. Hey, we need a part 2.
It's interesting when you look at these dates that how long some of this stuff has been going on. The push for full participation.
Yes.
Apparently, he identified a beginning date, 1889. So back in the 1880s, this is almost on the tail end of the Reconstruction era here in the United States. Post-Civil War, Reconstruction era, going into the Roaring 20s. World War I is over. We are just getting into all of this. The GIs, Black GIs, are back from overseas and having struggles, all this kind of stuff. But in the church, there is this push for full participation. Then you get the push for colored. I love that he put colored conferences. He didn't say Black conferences. He used the language of the day. The push for colored conferences. And look at the time period. That was what 35 years. That was a struggle. That's like somebody's whole career, man. Somebody started as a Go ahead.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But I was going to mention too, in his book,
They're not
he
35. I can't
mentioned,
count.
yeah, little less than that. But in his book, he mentioned that we did not have full participation. So he mentioned that camp meetings, I think it was a camp meeting federation, some big convocation.
Hmm.
Uh, the African American people, we were there just to do like a song. That's it. He said we weren't able to really
Oh.
participate in the preaching or anything like that. Just a song. That's how we were treated, my brother.
Hmm.
So there was this push, and he really unpackages that. He makes that clear, and then he goes to this what was going on in society, what was going on to the church. He did a really good job of opening up our eyes to this issue. So that was a and that was a very informative program. And
Yeah.
I think didn't we give away some books? I thought
I think
what
we
we
did.
supposed
Yeah. But listen,
what we
listen.
supposed to do.
I want to still zero in on these dates. So the push
Yeah.
for colored conferences is interesting that there's an end date for that, 1944. Why?
Oh, that's the first our first regional conference was formed
Because we
in
got a regional
1944.
conference,
Yeah.
1944, 1945. Was it South Central? South Central was that first conference?
Man,
Yeah,
to
I'm
see
not.
what?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
we
remember. That's a shame. We don't know our Black Adventist history.
we need
Mercy.
we need to hold up on that one,
Too young.
but
Yeah.
we will find it pretty soon.
Yeah. So okay. So maybe it was Central States. I'm not sure. Um, oh,
Might
Lake
have been
Region. There we go. Come on,
Lake Region,
Spencer
Lake
Wade.
Region,
Yes, Lake Region.
1946. Was it 1946? Anyway, the Lake Region. It was a Lake
Yeah.
Region conference. Then the Allegheny Conference. Remember, it wasn't Allegheny West or Allegheny East. It was Allegheny, right?
Oh, so it didn't split.
Um,
Yeah.
it didn't split yet.
Hmm.
South Atlantic. And watch this, South Atlantic. Come on, Southeastern. It was a part of
Not.
South
Yeah.
Atlantic,
No. Yeah. That was into the 80s. Yeah.
right? And then you
But
had, South Central. Go ahead.
okay, so again, the next little thing there, the push for black unions. So
Yeah.
apparently, 1969, there was some event that I guess he used to mark the push for black unions. But it's interesting that there is an end date here. But the end date here does not say say the same thing that the end date does for the previous square, the previous block. Previous
Right.
block ended because we got colored conferences or black conferences and what we call them today regional conferences. The end date after the push for black unions, we got to 1980. There are no black unions, but there is an end date. So does that mean that there's no longer a push for black unions?
What a good discussion. And in his book, I believe he mentions some of the reasons, or he kind of talks a little bit about that too. And I have the book. I could get it out and kind of just go through it, but it's not here right now. So, but again, revisiting that conversation, because now I think we're in a stage now, Pastor Paul, where people are, looking at the denominational structure as a whole.
Yeah.
And they want to revisit the need for these different entities that we have within our structure. So having that history of the push for a black union and why that not, it stopped then, and also looking at our entity and seeing if there's a need for some reorganization, I think would be fitting.
Yeah. Can I go ahead and make this interesting, a little bit more interesting? Make some people mad at me. So I think we just lost your audio. I don't know if you muted or what. There we go.
Are you
Gotcha.
there?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm that guy who I remember coming out of Oakwood in the 90s. And I said to myself, there were two issues that in my ministry I was not going to fight for, and I was not going to fight against. You want to guess what those were? I don't know if we had this conversation. You remember?
I don't remember that one.
Okay. I said I was never going to fight for women's ordination, nor was I going to fight against it. I was not, and the reason was at that time I hadn't studied it. I'd never applied myself to figure out what was what, and I said I'm not going to fight for it. I'm not going to. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That was my position then, because I had not put time and effort and energy into studying it. So I felt like anything that I said would be more of an opinion than to have really any good substance to it. The second thing that I said I was not going to fight for or against was the integration of the conferences. And it was because I knew people, I know, what my experience had been coming through academy and all that kind of stuff. And I said, if it happens, I'm great. I'm fine with it. I'm going to do my work. If it doesn't happen, I'm fine. I'm going to still do my work. It's just like, my work is going to be in my local church. What happens up on those levels, they can do whatever they figure out, however they're going to do. There's still work to be done. That's just not going to impact that so much. Now, since then, I have changed my position, I think, on both of those issues, in that I have studied. I've put more time and effort into the women's ordination thing, as well as into the conference thing. I think that the church would be better served, and I know this is a controversial position. Well, let me say up to around 2020, I felt that the church would be better served if we were more united, right? That if we did not have these ethnic structures, and I thought that the church and the world, the message, the gospel would be better served. And so while I wasn't particularly overly vocal and stuff about it, and I wasn't, marching around with a sign saying got to join these conferences, I would have certainly leaned more towards it. But then, man, 2020 and all this racial stuff, and I started seeing some sides of some folk, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm seeing some stuff like, I'm Rodney King. Can we really get along? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. There was some really ugly, nasty stuff that we started seeing around the whole Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. And I started really kind of saying, you know what? Yeah, all right, we're good. This thing just might not really work the way I hoped it. Marilyn says, "Thine eyes were opened."
Yeah. I remember in 2020. When was that conversation? Was it 2021? It was COVID time. I think it was COVID time when we had this actual conversation regarding the ethnic structure. Was that COVID? Like were we in church, or we were like
3 years ago? What was that? 2021.
Yeah, I think we were just coming out of church, but I just remember having that conversation and people, chiming in, talking about it, but actually going through, the protest and some of the voices that were very vocal, within our church system. It kind of said, man, we have a need.
Yeah. Listen, on this conversation, this guy, Carlos Medley, and correct me if I'm wrong, was the first black editor, not or on staff at the Adventist Review. Did I get that correct, Doc Medley?
I believe he was. Let's see. He's going to answer us there. He was the associate, I think, the General Conference. The associate, editor for the General Conference. Very knowledgeable. Now we should have him on our program.
Yeah. We need to get you on, Doc.
Yes, because Carlos Medley has a gift with his understanding of the church. Been in the General Conference for years. In fact, before that, he was in Michigan.
He was a reporter, man.
Listen, he actually worked for the South Bend Tribune, something like Okay. He actually worked there, and so he had that experience over there, being at the Niles Church there. Oh, yes, that's
Yes,
true.
that's true.
He's in the
Yeah.
Niles Church there in Michigan, and then Dowagiac, and has that experience. But then going to the General Conference, and getting that experience as well. So very, very knowledgeable. We need to have him on the show. I think he can speak
Yeah.
really intelligently to this conversation with that historical piece.
We talked several months ago, and it was just a brief call. I think he was looking for somebody's phone number, but it was so interesting. We ended up being on the phone for almost 2 hours. I was just hearing him share his story and some of the stuff. Doc Medley, we have to we got to give you a call, man, so that you can hop on here with us and we can do we can interview you for a change. I know you've done a lot of interviewing, but
oh man,
we'd love to hear your story.
Very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable.
All right. So here we go. Let's hop back here.
Okay.
That was anything else we want to hit in this one? Man, our time is getting away from us real quick, Doc.
Yeah, let's move on. I mean, great show, part 2.
Yes. So yeah, we have to get Dr. Rock back. The next one, oh my.
Which one was that? Oh,
Project 2025.
That was just the other day.
Yeah. That was the number 2. You guys watched, more of you watched this. This was the second highest viewed, or at least on YouTube. Now, we're not counting the Facebook numbers. So there may have been some that the numbers combined, the Facebook numbers with the numbers here may tell a little different story. But as far as YouTube goes, and that probably has to do with people's searches. So when people are searching on YouTube, they may be searching for something on Black history, or searching for Dr. Calvin Rock, or searching for Project 2025. Did you ever get a chance to read some of the comments on this on Facebook?
No.
These are people that went and watched. This one had some comments of people who watched it, the replay.
What they said? Can you read some of it?
Okay, let's see. Oh man, you can't see it on your screen. This was good. Thank you for the program. Oh man, there's some stuff I can't read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, don't go read those comments. We need to edit some of those things. There's
We probably need to take them off.
some strong language.
Oh my. Okay. Yeah. That's not.
Yeah. So just in brief, let's share with folks, what was that program about? So you guys know that was the conversation that we had, where the Heritage Foundation has put a think tank together to create, and they have done this for years. Almost every election cycle, they put together some things that they want the incoming administration to do. Like, here's your marching orders. It's primarily a Christian right, evangelical proposition that they want the incoming president to enact these laws, to make these changes, to do these things. This one in particular, Project 2025, was getting a lot of attention because for, I believe, the first time, there were suggestions that the president make some, essentially some Sabbath laws that would encourage employers to be closed on Sunday so that people could go to church. And the way that they were encouraging employers to do that was that they would require that they want the incoming administration to pass a law that would require employers to pay people time and a half on Sunday. And so they figured if they required the employers to pay people time and a half on Sunday, then that would encourage more businesses. There would be an economic motivation for them to shut down on Sunday so that people could go to church. And that was pretty explicit in the document, which I was like, whoa, that sounds like what we read out of Great Controversy. We read these things about Sunday laws. Funny, we were talking about the cults thing earlier. and I was listening to a former Seventh-day Adventist son who said he's no longer a Seventh-day Adventist because he became a Christian instead.
Oh
And
my.
I was watching his video, and it was interesting to hear him talk about what the Seventh-day Adventist Church believes about Revelation chapter 13 and the idea that Sunday laws will come. And he was just making, he was having a field day with it. He was just laughing and kind of scoffing and how ludicrous that would be for the nation to do that. And yet, boom, boom, here it is in black and white out in the open, that is actually something that a group like the Heritage Foundation, who says on their website, the Project 2025 website, they say the Trump and his previous administration, he enacted, I think, 80% of the things that they had asked him to do from 2020,
But they were
2016.
but they were disappointed that he didn't do all of it. Right?
Of course. And they're looking, they want him back in and say, look, and it's like they're saying, dude, you do this stuff and we will vote for you. We inspire the evangelical vote. White evangelicals voted for Trump up to 82% in the last election because boom, 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 boom. This, that, and the other.
So in other
Oakman
words,
2022 says, what is this Project 2025?
So in essence, yeah.
This
Go
is
ahead.
where we
Go
say,
ahead, Pastor.
watch the episode.
Right. So in essence,
I think that's Byron. I think that's Pastor. Byron, is that you? He's going to tell us in a second. I think Oakman 22. Pastor Wells.
You try to make this man reveal.
Oh, well, if he doesn't reveal, he's not going to answer. My bad, maybe Pastor Wells.
Well, in a nutshell, man, and you mentioned, right, the Heritage Foundation, of course, behind it, but it's really a group of people trying to make sure that their agenda, it becomes law. And so they're supporting this president. In fact, that if you want to be technical, the biblical worldview turning into federal law, right?
Yeah.
And so when you have that, I mean, somebody's going to be in trouble, right? So that's this whole thing. And then also the tenets that Pastor Paul mentioned that's on the agenda, which makes it really, eye-opening and interesting for us. And so that's why, we had that discussion. Very good discussion that we had. In fact, wait a minute. Was he on?
Hold on.
Go ahead.
It's the great controversy, just not in a book, but in real life. That's yeah.
And was Standish the guy that was on there with us?
No. We had Greg Hamilton and Miller, Nicholas Miller. Yeah.
Yes. Who is now? Is he at Washington Adventist University now? And has a law doing something.
Yeah, he's doing something there.
Connection with Capital. Anyway, watch the show.
Yeah, but yes, Oakman 22. I won't call the name. Rodney's got it right. Project 2025 is basically a right wing. It's not necessarily Republican, but technically, you could say that. But a right wing conservative, mainly evangelical game plan. It's saying, here we have written out all of the things in this project that we want the incoming administration to do. And so they've written out all the laws that they want them to pass. You can go to the website, Google the website, and you can download the 900 and something page document, which I've done. And you get it in your Adobe, then you can search. Like I searched Sabbath, and all the places in the document where Sabbath shows up, there is a little section where you pull that stuff up. So
okay, well, listen, we got to move on, man. We got some other shows quickly, man. We only got a few minutes left. Where we at now? How many? Henry Wright and there it is, and Abraham Jules. Wow. Wow, wow.
We
So,
were we were talking about how evangelism is going to work post quarantine. Now we've been post quarantine for almost 3 years now. I think quarantine list started lifting in 2021. We are now in 2024. I got stuff to say about this, but let me start with you, Doc. What is
how
evangelism
many?
looking like
How
now?
many? Oh man. Well, evangelism. One thing about the mission that we are called to do is going to continue regardless of what's happening in our society. I mean, souls are going to be won to Jesus. So now, before when you talking about pre-COVID, the whole tent idea was kind of disseminating, so not people really did that anymore. And we were moving more to a shorter model of evangelism and so forth. Post COVID, actually during COVID, during the height of COVID, evangelism was taking place, but then there was a new phenomenon that took place, Pastor Paul. What happened now, people were watching, they gave their life to the Lord, and people from all over the country, all over the world, started to they accepted Jesus Christ, and they became a part of your church, even while they're not in your local area.
Yeah.
So you have numbers all over. And so, I was at Elk, and we had a real good conversation about this. It was in one of the conferences there, the breakouts. And one person was arguing, okay, wait a minute, I understand this has happened. I understand that you can have, thousands of people watching you all over, and they can call you their pastor or whatnot. But he said, when you get sick and you're in the hospital, is a person online going to visit you? And so they had some arguments that kind of got challenged this new way of thinking, right? And of course, those things can be navigated through. You could think through those things. So the church looks different, is what I'm saying, now than before COVID.
I don't think so. I am almost 98% in disagreement with you. I think
98.
98.
Well, let's talk. Let's talk.
I think that while we were in COVID, we were imagining that post-COVID world would look drastically different, right? That's what we imagined. We said, hey, this is ushering in a new era of this and that and the other. However, I think I will give it a benefit of the doubt, and I will drop all the way down to 90%.
75?
90%.
Okay.
I suspect
Okay.
it feels like 90% of us have just gone right back to doing exactly the same things the same way we were doing it before COVID. And the difference is this: we may have a few more churches that are streaming their worship services online, but all they're doing is taking what was already in the building, and we're just putting it online. And there were gobs of churches who were already doing that. Many of them were not Seventh-day Adventists. We bulked up on tech stuff, on cameras and microphones and lights, all that kind of stuff. But our presence in the space, as far as churches are concerned, you go to almost any Adventist church that has a presence online, I can guarantee you, I'm gonna go back up to my 90%, my 98%.
Oh, you're going back up now.
98% of us, all we are doing is streaming our 11 o'clock worship service, and that's it. Fine. Okay, I'll throw in a prayer meeting. Some of us are doing prayer meetings in the virtual space.
Listen. We're different. Listen. We're different though as a church. Now, when I say we're different, yes, I do agree with you. There are many members want what we had before. Definitely. Yeah. There are many members that they want it. But this is how we're different. The online streaming of your church and the online presence. Many people, I would say many, I think the majority, they see the value of the online ministry. Now, they may not run it, the way that we hope for it to be, to be produced, but they see the value of it. And this is what's happening. This is how it's different. This is how it's different. There are churches now that they're getting income now from different places outside of their locale. That is help, and I'm going to add this, that is really helping them to do some powerful things. There is a resurgence now of this media ministry where we're saying, I know not all churches are thinking about this, but I'm telling you, there's a shift, man. There's a shift. People are saying,
okay. Let me ask you this.
Let me give you one more thing.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, all right.
Conferences now are saying, hey, when we give evangelism funds, right? I've heard it from several conferences. You can include technology, getting technology equipment in there. Whereas before
what? We could always use evangelism money for technology.
I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, maybe
and if you weren't doing it, then shame on you, because I sure was.
No. Listen to me. There's some significant, and I know this. Listen.
This is what we were doing. Technology. We were buying computers. We were buying projectors. We were buying those were things that we were spending evangelism money on way before COVID. We were already spending evangelism money on technology.
I remember a conversation by one of our officers who made it plain and said, listen, the funds that we're giving you, you can really spend it on technology. Like, we're opening up the gates now, and we expect you to do this. Whereas before, you couldn't really, you had to have a meeting behind that, Anselm. You got to have some, like, before you spend on technology,
sure,
you had to have, but now, you're
saying don't have a meeting attached to it.
You don't have a meeting, right?
So take evangelism money and buy a camera.
Right. Yes.
And there's no meeting on the calendar.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Exactly. But you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so yeah, we were spending, when we were having a meeting, I would take that money, other pastors would take some of that money, and we would buy a camera for that meeting that we would use in that meeting. Right. And I would say, look, the church needs a camera, the church needs lights, the church needs this, that, and the other. We're going to use them in our meeting, but then we will have them when the meeting is over for, perpetuity or however long the stuff lasts. Right. Yeah. So the other thing go ahead.
And so the way we do church, So this online ministry, although before COVID, it wasn't popular.
I remember I was going to ask you now. Yeah.
It wasn't popular, but now it's in the minds of the people. Like, they know that this is something we need to do. We need an online presence.
But see, here's the question. I'm not. When we're saying what is actually online. When we say we're doing online ministry, what exactly are we talking about at the church level? Are we talking about just streaming a regular worship service? A 3-hour program, a Sabbath school and church service? Who in the 3 billion people or however many million people are on Facebook, YouTube every day that we're trying to reach, fishing where the fish are, how many of them who are now accustomed and attuned to, 15-second, 10-second TikToks and shorts and reels are going to sit and watch 3 hours of a church service where, the choir might be on and it might not. And the music might be on and it might not. The person who's giving the announcements may be saying all kind of weird, wacky stuff. We're saying that
I'm smiling at this comment.
What's that?
Wait, hold on. You're saying GC and the unions can now baptize tithe and send funds back to the local church for a building project.
Not true. GC and the unions can now baptize tithe. No, I'm not going to let him distract me. Let me finish this. I'm coming. We'll get to that.
We got to get to this too.
Yeah. All right. So I'll mark that. We're coming back to you on that.
I'm trying to figure that one.
So here's the problem though. The problem is we're saying that, we are more bought into online ministry, But I'm asking you, how many churches have you seen doing anything in the virtual space besides streaming a worship service?
Not many.
Yeah.
Not many. Not many at all.
When have you seen a children's ministry of a local church saying, here's our platform. We're on our church's YouTube channel every Tuesday morning at 3:00. Which singles ministry, which men's ministry, which women's ministry?
From the church, right? Not many.
And then, like, I remember, oh man, I hope my members aren't watching. I remember having conversations with some members somewhere. I'm not going to tell you where. How about that? And saying we need to create content for this space, and people would come back and say, "Okay, Pastor, here's the program. So and so is doing opening prayer. So and so is doing special music. This person is doing the scripture reading, and our speaker is." And that's the content or the program that they, that was to put in the virtual space. That was not a church service. So we decided we were going to put the same type of a format in the virtual space that we were doing in the building. And somewhere like those things, that's not, we've got to find a way to teach people to use the space effectively. We can say we've bought into virtual ministry as much as we want. But unless we tweak some of the stuff that we're doing in this space,
but watch this. Listen to this though. Look, I'm telling you, we've changed since COVID. I'm not talking about utilizing the technology the way I think we can, but we've changed. The mindset of the people have changed because of COVID, and I'm going to tell you why. For the very point that Sister St. Clair, Dr. St. Clair has mentioned, you have many people now tuning into different services. Like, it's very popular now. It is more popular now than it was before COVID. Now they're comparing.
But did you read what she said? Many. Here's Carlene. Many stay at home and click from service to service. Who's she talking about? Many stay at home.
Members, right? That's what I'm thinking about. People.
Adventist members. Many Adventist members are staying at home and clicking from service to service. That's not growth. That's not evangelism. Those are our own members who are going from church to church, from online to online service.
So watch. My argument is that our mindset has changed. Like, COVID changed the way we do church. COVID changed the way we perceive church. And so now you have people like that. You have members that going to church.
What I'm saying is that there's no evangelistic value to that, and that to where that has gone. I'm saying we need to keep going. That's progress, and I don't know if it's progress. I'm saying we're not where we want to be.
I don't think. Well, yeah, and now I agree with you. I agree with that. But what I'm saying again is that we have changed. The mindset has changed. Have we changed for the better to utilize the technology and everything? Some churches have made the pivot, some haven't, right? And pretty soon those churches that haven't made a pivot, they're going to have to, because things are changing in the denomination, okay? But again, we have changed. The mindset has changed. Listen, the pastors, watch this. Oh my goodness, listen to this. The preaching has changed. Pastor Paul, talk to me. Pastor Paul, come on. Can we be honest? Pastor Paul.
Talk to me. Keep going. Okay, Convince me.
Okay, watch it. The preaching has changed because of COVID. Why? Because online. We're online now. It's prevalent. Like, a lot more churches are online. There's some things that you used to say.
Are you talking about the content of the preaching?
Presentation.
Are you talking about the delivery?
Illustrations.
So we're more focused on making eye contact with the camera now. I mean,
no. Okay, watch this. When you know you're online, you remember we used to be in workers meeting. Remember we used to be in workers meeting, Pastor Paul, and they would say, "Okay, is anybody recording? Is anybody taping?" You remember that? So listen. So now that we are online, it's all the time like that. Come on, Pastor Paul. Before your church was online, way back when, come on, people would say stuff. You just, whatever. Now the world is watching you. People have gotten fired.
Yeah, but I'm
For
still
what they,
but
the
remember
mindset.
we were talking
Mindset.
this conversation was in the context of evangelism, not just
Okay.
broadcasting a church service. So
Right.
sure, if we're just talking about
The
online
mindset have changed. Yeah.
etiquette for what we do in public and virtual spaces like that, then fine, we can have that discussion. But if we were talking about evangelism, reaching people with the gospel who we have not reached before, then what I am suggesting is that simply broadcasting a weekly church service is not going far enough. I'm not saying don't do it. While I do believe that there are some church services that we
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. We're not online.
But what I'm saying is it's like leaving money on the table. Like there's so much more that we could be encouraging and training and resourcing and teaching our churches to do and our church members to do as individuals in the virtual space, and then structurally, like within our ministry departments. You name it, your religious liberty ministry at your local church needs to have a spot, a seat in the digital space. Your children's ministry, your youth ministry, your men's ministry, your women's ministry, your stewardship ministry. You keep going. Even your prison ministry, your health ministry needs to have a space, a seat in this virtual space that does not need to take up 3 hours.
Right.
That can create, and I'm gonna go here too, that can be intentional about creating community in this digital space.
Right.
And people say, "Oh, you can't." Yeah, this is bothering me to no end. When I have heard some of our elites and our older pastors or whoever members even say, "Forsake not the assembling of yourselves together," that we've got
Hebrews,
to be.
yeah.
And I'm like, that is so a misquote or a out of context of what that means. When your church and your folk are together in a Zoom meeting, when our people are in this chat, we are gathered together. We have not forsaken we are assembled together. I will say this, it is not the same thing as being in person. Granted, no argument for me on that. But we have assembled together on this live stream, and the presence of the Holy Spirit and the moving of God can happen even in venues virtual like this. And if you don't, and that real relationships and real community can happen. If you don't believe me, talk to your 14-year-old who is now talking to through a game. They are gaming, but they have created relationships with people all around the world. They've told somebody on their gaming squad that they were considering suicide a few weeks ago because their parents split up. They never said it to anybody in church, but they said it to somebody there. Why? Because they had developed community there. They felt safe. Listen, and we are losing that because all we're trying to do is just stream a worship service. Nobody from the church is in there interacting and trying to engage the people that are there. We just put it up, put it down, go about our business, and feel like we've done a great job because we have a presence in the space. Not enough.
What I would say this, Pastor Paul, again, and I hold on to it, that I think the church has changed. I think that somebody put Oakwood down there and what they're doing, right? I mean, that has significantly changed. I think that the preaching has it significantly changed? Some people say no, but there's more thought, preparation now. I mean, even as you're preaching, I mean, the church has changed. Now, whether there are some people who have, although they're exposed to this new way of doing things, there are some churches that have not made that pivot. Like they know that they need to do something different.
I'm not suggesting that some of that stuff hasn't changed. I'm saying the stuff that has changed is so what? It's not changed. It's not gaining us anything. Just because you now have a pulpit etiquette that you should have had from the beginning.
We should have had it, right? But now we're more conscientious now, right?
But that's not a measure. That's not success in terms of where we're trying to go.
Let me ask you a question, because I know we got to go to some different shows and so forth.
Yeah. Well, we got 10 minutes.
Have you changed because of COVID? Has your preaching changed because of COVID?
No.
Has your understanding of the power of what we can do on social media changed because
Yes.
of COVID?
My
Okay, so
listen. This is the thing that has changed about my preaching. I
yeah,
used to be a roamer. I
okay,
used to walk. I'd be off the pulpit, down in the aisles, whatever.
okay,
I am more conscious of the camera, and that in my church I don't have an actual person behind, a cameraman. So I'm very conscious that if I
okay.
move
So you haven't
outside of,
changed.
if I move
Okay,
outside of the lighting, if I move too much, that it'll be a dark picture. If I move too much, I have nobody to follow me, and people are looking at it. That stuff, that's changed. But as far
okay,
as my preaching and no, that hasn't changed.
okay, okay. That's fair. And but your understanding of what we could do with technology, has
Sure,
that changed?
absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely,
and
kind of.
I think and.
I'm saying I was already a little like, yeah, we need to
I
do
know.
this
Well,
before
listen,
COVID, but
we were roommates, but I think listen, we started when we started the show. Right?
yeah,
Come
yeah,
on,
yeah.
preacher. We had the conversation, right? And we said, look, COVID, this is going to be impacting our church, right? And we had this thing started because of COVID, man. Listen, we've changed now. Have a lot of churches changed for the better? No, because now we have more information, but a lot of people are not using it. We could, I mean, personally, I could use, we have conversations, I could use it more myself, right? But I think that this COVID has changed the perception of the church. It has.
I
It
think
has changed. It has
I think
changed
that we thought it was going to do that, and I think that on the end we had too many people who could not wait to get back to normal, and as soon as we had opportunity to get back to normal, that's exactly what we did. We went right back to normal. That's my thought on it.
And I would come close to you and say yes. There are people who want to get back to, and when they say normal, they want to get back to pre-COVID, the pre-COVID activities. That's what they want to do. There's a lot of people that want to do that. But I would say that what COVID has done, I think it has exposed our members to many other models of church. It has exposed us to what other churches within our denomination, what they are doing. And I think it has challenged a lot of members to say, hey, look what's going on over there. Like we could do
Sure.
some of that too.
I'd agree with that.
And I think
that's not valuable to ministry in the virtual space. People are looking and seeing, okay, that's their liturgy, that's their style of worship, that's their order of service. So we can switch up and change our order of service or our style. That's not necessarily talking about or dealing with what type of a ministry or impact we can have in the virtual space. We're just peeking in somebody else's window and stealing their ideas and saying, let's do this over here. Mm-hmm. It's not the same. Mm-hmm. That is not synonymous with having a relevant, resourced, and real presence in the virtual space.
Resource and real church. I love it. Man, listen, we could talk all day about this.
Yeah. Should we try to get one more in? We got 7 minutes.
Let's get one more in, Doc. Let's get one more in. Yeah.
Okay. Carlene is in my camp, man. Bless you.
Listen, she's your member, man. Look, she's your member. Doc.
All right. Okay. We're going to skip this one because we did this last week. I don't pastor anymore. That was the number 4 on YouTube. I'm looking at some of these numbers. They don't always go in order. But okay. We had Pelk, December 2020. Let's skip that one. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. We could talk about. Let's move on down. Okay. Why are young adults leaving?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much.
Yeah. Why are young adults leaving?
Food. Yeah. How long is too long? Is too long?
But why? So how? Yeah, get that one's fancy talk about. But this one is real as far as why are young adults leaving?
I like how long is too long, Doc. How long is too long, man? How long is too long?
What was this one? Festival of Hymns.
Yeah. Hey, that was a good one too.
Did he really say that? Yeah, the hymns one thing that was Pelk again.
Wait, right there. Can we talk about that one? Did he really say that?
Did he really say that?
You think we get it?
Okay. Okay. All right.
Did we beat it? Are we beating a dead horse, man? Or
Okay.
I
So
see some hesitation. I see some
yeah.
hesitation.
Well, I mean, so the main things in what he said was about the immigrant versus native born issue. Well, we talked a lot about that. We talked about the conflict of interest. That was part of the issue in his sermon. Remember, he talked about the how we select or elect leaders.
The constituency sessions, right?
Yeah. So
The
those,
electoral
if I can
process.
remember correctly, those
are
were
the
like the
main
three
ones.
main things that
Main ones.
we
And then
dealt with that.
We highlighted the sermon that he did at the Southwest region
Right.
camp meeting.
By the way, we didn't call his name. That was the Wintley. That's the episode that we did. This one here in the
Dr.
middle of your
Phipps.
screen. Yeah, Dr. Wintley Phipps, his sermon for the Southwest region camp meeting last year. Was it last year? Yeah, 9 months ago. So last year.
Last year, yeah.
Made lots of ripples in these
Listen,
Seventh-day Adventist waters.
And we weren't the only show that he was on. Like, he was on several. Like, I think we might, remember? We caught the tail. There was a lot of other stuff that happened.
I'm gonna say it. He was on some shows, and those shows got taken down.
Well, there might have been various
that's
reasons.
all I'm gonna say.
There might have been some other. There might have been some other reasons.
Oh, I didn't say a reason. All I said was it got taken down. So,
but listen, though, the reality is that Dr. Phipps cried out for a change. He's crying out for a change.
But did anything happen though? Was this what somebody was talking about before? We have all these conversations, but then nothing really happens or nothing comes of it.
But what do they expect to happen though? Like
Something
if I
changed.
mentioned something
They expected to change.
Okay, like what?
Okay, so the immigrant versus native
So
born
now
thing.
Okay, so you mentioned something.
So what ought it, so in that conversation or that particular topic, the issue that you would think would be the change that you would hope to be affected is that the church would now become more intentional in how we reach out to native born Americans.
So how has
And
changed?
so the question is, did that happen as a result of that sermon or any subsequent discussion?
And when can we measure it? Like, what's a good time to measure it? You know,
I mean, what's a good time to measure it?
Yeah. So in other words,
what time is it now?
That's what I'm talking about. I say something. So listen. So,
good, Karen.
Change. Change. Where's Karen at? That's your member.
No, that's a different Karen. This is Karen.
That's your member. All right. So, how does change happen?
Tiffany, we should have brought Tiffany on with us tonight, man.
Yeah, she would. Hey, by the way, congratulations to Tiffany.
Yes,
she graduated last week too, man. Proud of her, man.
Indeed, we're gonna start calling you doctor.
Supporter. Yes, listen, and a great supporter of PRT. Great supporter of PRT. And so here's where I was going with this, Pastor Paul. So change, right? How long does it take for change in the church to happen? For it to be a significant change? How long? How long does that take?
Well,
and we just looked at what, listen, you just a few, maybe 30, 50 minutes ago, we just looked at Dr. Rock's presentation. You remember? We just looked at that, and it took some years.
Decades and decades for
right.
stuff.
Right. So I think the conversation is good, but it's just not conversation. I think this is planted in the minds of the people, and I think change is I think we're changing now. I think we're changing right now. Yes.
Well, here's I think where a lot of our people get messed up, and we struggle because we're going to go and we're going to preach Acts chapter 2, right? That day of Pentecost comes, Peter and the boys go out and they preach hard, and 3,000 were baptized in a single day. That was a single moment change, right?
Mm-hmm.
This didn't take weeks to plan an evangelistic series, to get speakers in place, to get Bible workers hired and interviewed and background checks. All that. This didn't take a year to plan this crusade.
Mm-hmm.
They were in the upper room. The Holy Spirit fell, and then boom, explosive power of the Holy Ghost falls. And an entire event is changed. And we say 3,000, but we know they weren't even counting women and children, so we don't know how many that actually was.
Right.
So we've kind of conditioned folk with those kinds of stories to say, man, change can happen, boom, just like that. And can it? Yes, absolutely. We believe that. Does it always happen like that?
No.
We know better.
But here's a report, and I know we got to end this thing now, man. We we wish Pastor Wade was on this, man, so he'd get into this conversation too. That would be great. But here's the thing: do you know that when we talk about change, and I'm gonna go back to this. I know it's a dead horse, but the change that happened because of COVID, this program is a result of COVID. And the conversations that we've always had some of these conversations, but we had a platform to do so at that time. And do you know that there is one, we had I think it was 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, where there were a lot of constituency meetings that are happening. Well, I could give a report. There was one particular constituency meeting where somebody is reported to say that what helped them through the constituency meeting and the nominating process and everything was PRT. They went back, Pastor Paul, and they watched the show where we dealt with constituency meetings. And because of that program, they were able to do a few things that they would not have known that was in their jurisdiction to do if it were not that show. So I'm saying, I'm just saying, say, come on, you need to pat yourself on the back, man. This is PRT. Come on, Doc.
I don't know that that's true, though. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna make that assumption. So
it's not an assumption. I'm taking it from the person. So if the person is lying, but I saw some looking at that.
Well, you didn't tell me that. So if they tell you that, I'm not.
Right. Okay. And looking at what happened there were some things that took place that were different. Okay, so
Carlene is in I agree mode. She's got I agree. She said I agree. Finally, with Dr. Henry,
we can end the show now. We can end the show. Hey, but listen, it's okay to disagree. I'm okay. Look, what you all Pastor Wade, good to see you. Listen, we about to end this thing. I don't have the deep voice like Pastor Wade, but look, the PRT family, what you're seeing now is what we do.
I wish. Listen, one of these days we're gonna stream live our production meetings, so you guys can see what this is like when we're planning and doing stuff behind the scenes. That can be fun.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Praise God. Well, listen.
Praise God.
Look, this has been good. Look, and I want to thank you, Pastor Paul, for what you do on this program. I want to thank Pastor Wade for what he does on the program. We also have Sister Stephanie Scott. Mm-hmm. I mean, just a thinker, pushing the envelope. We have Pastor Dr. John Mills, the question writer. We have TJ, my man TJ. Yes, behind the scenes. And so we have a team. And by the way, we are also soliciting your help. We know that things are busier now. There's a lot of movements that are happening, and we believe that we need to expand our team. And so if you want to be a part of the PRT family, now there's a process that we'll go through, right? But if you want to be a part of our family, we're talking about the background so that we can continue to make this program effective and efficient and relevant and resource. We ask that you please. How can they get in contact with us, Pastor Paul? How can they tell us that they want to be a part of the management team and what we do in the background? How can they do that?
Dr. Henry's cell number is. You can reach us at the PRT.live. The PRT.live. Go there to the website. There's a place where you can interact with us there. You can email us at thepastorsrt@gmail.com. thepastorsrt@gmail.com is where you can just reach us directly through email. We'd love to hear from you. Go again. You can check us to get us through the website as well as just that direct email address, thepastorsrt@gmail.com. Once you go, and we got to say this too, you go to the Pastors Roundtable. I'm sorry, the PRT.live. That's the website. On the website, you can go there and find some ways to support the Pastors Roundtable as well. We didn't talk about that tonight, but we started this 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and we didn't realize the cost that this was going to incur as we started all of this stuff. But and trust me, we are happy to do it. We're happy to do it. We know there are several of you who have lended us your support. I think just today we got something else. Somebody sent something in to us today. We appreciate you so very much. So if you feel moved to support the Pastors Roundtable by a financial gift, please find your way over to the PRT.live to the support page, and you'll find ways that you can support there.
All right. Okay, we go. Well, listen.
How did we go late on a night where we had no guests and it was just the two of us and we went long?
I don't know, man. It's unreal. maybe because I'm not preaching tomorrow. I don't have time to I don't need to review my message, man. I don't need to review it. We have, by the way, if you're in the Central Florida area, please come to the Altamont Springs Seventh-day Adventist Church. We have our Children's Day tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
And I know that, yes, I'm there. I'm going to be supporting our children.
Good.
Because I want to make sure that they know we're right there behind them and support them. Listen, thank you for being a part of the Pastors Roundtable, where we make ministry relevant,
resourced,
and real. God bless.
God bless everybody. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.